Okay, so I've started recording. You'll probably get something that is going to ask you to consent to be recorded. But I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. We're always happy to talk about the U-Plan and certainly talk about the U-Plan to colleges, and really excited when colleges are interested in hearing about the U-Plan. So thank you for coming to our administrator training. So this is something that we did for the first time, I think 2 years ago when we first made the move to online, which we'll talk about. And of course, last year didn't really happen. So we're going to do it again this year. And so this will be about an hour long at most. It may take shorter than that. We want this to be very conversational, of course, because we want to hear from you and what your questions are and what your concerns are. Before we get into the actual presentation, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Jonathan Hughes. I'm the Associate Director of College Planning and Content Creation at MEFA, and I've been working with the U-Plan for about 15 years now, mainly on the customer side and on the college side. So I've probably spoken with many of you on the phone regarding the U-Plan or U-Plan disbursements before. And Claudia?
Yes, okay. So hi, I'm Claudia Niles, and I'm the Associate Director of Savings Programs here at MEFA. And I've been working with the U-Plan for quite some time now. So welcome.
Yes, you've almost definitely, I mean, have spoken with Claudia before. So she's our expert here. So if you have any questions, I will probably defer them to Claudia on this. But when we go ahead and get started, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, or attempt to. You guys will let me know if you can see that. Me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So just a bit of technical sort of housekeeping here before we get started. I'm sure we're all used to Zoom meetings by now, but you'll see the audio settings there allow you to control the volumes. The chat feature, it says is disabled between you and me. I don't think the chat feature is disabled, so you can use it. I haven't disabled it, that is. So you can use it if you like. If you have a question, you can type it into the chat or type it into the Q&A. I actually kind of prefer it if you use the Q&A because it's easier for me to see while I'm going if you use the Q&A, but either way, somebody will catch it. Stephanie Wells, I want to give a shout out to Stephanie. She's on there as well. So I'm not sure if she'll be able to see and monitor, but if she does, I know she'll let us know. And the live transcript button is there if you need a live transcript. As I said, we're recording, and anyone registered will get the recording of this webinar. So I know that there are some people who probably will not. Someone says, is it possible to take the box off that indicates that the meeting is being recorded? You should. I'm not seeing that on my screen. Maybe you'll be able to minimize that. Does anybody know out there? Any of the attendees have an answer for that? Oh. Okay, you're all set. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So now, as far as what we're going to talk about today, we'll just cover an overview of the U-Plan transition to an online system. And so this is working off of the presentation that we gave 2 years ago when we first transitioned from the U-Plan being a primarily paper process. That is, folks had to fill out their paper applications, send in their checks, and mail them to MEFA. MEFA sent all our statements out in the mail. People didn't have online access. You probably remember you got checks and paper rosters from the U-Plan for a time. So 2 years ago, we initiated a process to move all of that online, along with some other big developments, such as moving our servicing over to US Bank. But we'll talk about the overview of that transition online. most concerning you, what that means for you as a college administrator, and what you're able to do online as you weren't able to do online before. So we'll take you how to access the website to log in. We'll go through a live demo of the site in our test system so you can see, what you're able to do on the online system. And one of the big things that we have, aside from all of the online access, is now you can have your funds, rather than having a check mailed out to you, you can get an EFT wire distribution to you. And I know that that's something that colleges are more and more interested in. And that's great. And it's a great service. So we're glad that there's more interest in that, because I know, being on the phones, that students are looking for checks, and it really cuts down on that time of a couple of weeks of having checks mailed out and being credited to students' accounts. And then, of course, we'll have time for any questions that you may have after the fact. So I already kind of talked about this a little bit, but for why the transition online? Well, for customers, it's a huge difference because they now have access to year-round savings. And what that means is, before we had a 2-month 2-month enrollment period. So the only time customers could start an account or even contribute to their own account was in the months of May and June. And so that was the only time that they could do it. We had to get their mailings out to them. They had to get our checks in. Now they can start an account at any point throughout the year. They can contribute throughout the year, which means they can contribute via check. They can have automatic deduction taken out of their bank accounts and placed towards their U.Plan account. So that's something that customers have asked for years and years, and we're finally able to do that. They also have online access to their account, so they can track their account balances. They can make changes on their account. They can change their address. They can change their information. They can actually transact on the account as well. So they can direct their money when it's time for distributions to go out to colleges or to be cashed out to them. They can go online, access it themselves, and make that transaction happen online. They can also do it over the phone. So there's a huge amount that customers can do now on their own, online or over the phone, that they were not able to do before. As I said, it was always a very paper process in the past. They also have access to quarterly statements, which they were not able to get before, and they can have access to that on their website, or they can have those emailed or mailed to them. Now, for college administrators, what we're going to see today is you have the ability to log on to our U.Plan portal online and to access your disbursement rosters. So you can see right away, the day it happens, who's getting U.Plan disbursements to your college. You won't have to wait till Monday to get those sent to you. You can see both confirmed distributions, and that is the funds that have already been sent to your college. More importantly, I think you can see pending distributions. So if we've received a disbursement request from a customer, maybe the summer before funds are due, and a disbursement is pending for your college, you'll be able to go on and see that this person has a U.Plan disbursement ready to go in the fall, or if they have it ready to go whenever it's ready to go. And I know you're talking to customers or students sometimes, and they'll say that they've got a U.Plan and the money's coming, but you haven't seen it yet. You'll be able to check on that. Once again, you'll be able to set up EFT set up an EFT so you can receive funds, so you don't have to wait for paper checks from the U.Plan. And in general, you can just have access to information as it happens. So we're going to go on now. And Claudia, did I miss anything? Did you want to add anything to anything that I've said?
No, you've covered it all. Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, sure. And if anybody, again, has any questions, please let me know. So this is how you can get onto our site if you have an account. And we did a sort of campaign to get people set up with usernames and passwords in the past. If you don't have a username and password, if you don't have online access, that's something that you can contact us about and we can get you set up with that. But if you do, here's where you would go in. You go into the resources for college administrators and on MEFA.org, and you just log in this way. Now, of course, there are other reasons that college administrators might log on to MEFA. You have MEFA loans to certify, perhaps. You have other products. So you want to click on the U.Plan and log in there. And this is the screen that's going to come up. So I just want to mention this portion right here, which is this lists the browsers for which this system, U.Plan system, is best compatible with. So Google Chrome, Internet Explorer 11, Microsoft Edge, and Safari for Mac, the two latest versions of those. And so here it's going to prompt you to enter in your user ID and your password. And again, if you don't have these things, you can contact us and we can help you get set up. But let's assume that you do maybe, and you just need some help getting on. What I'm going to do next now is get out of this here. And please let me know if you can still see my screen, because I'm going to go into the test system now. And we've set up in the test system. Can you all see that?
Yes.
It should be J Hughes, TJU. So with the help of IT over here at MEFA and with the U.Plan department over at US Bank, they've helped me to set up a sort of phony school here. And let me see here. So this is my username, and hopefully this will allow us to get on here. Now, I apologize, it might take a minute or two because the test system can be a bit slow, but what it's going to get me to do is so this is a good question. And I'll direct this to Claudia. Can more than one person per institution have access to log in?
Yes, most definitely.
Yes. So if you, so yes, they can do that. Let me just see here. Oh, here we go. So what's going to happen now is you're going to get an email sent to your email address with a code that you have to put in here now. Just wait for it to come up. Should be any minute now. But yes, more than one people can have access to the online account. Claudia, can you guys, oh, we're waiting. Are there different roles assigned? Or is it, yeah.
No, anytime that the only difference is that we have to have at least one person designated as the person receiving the payment.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of that, all contacts will be, entitled to view roster information, with the exception of that person who was responsible for receiving the payment. So that's the only difference in roles.
Now, why am I not getting the email address? The email, rather. Did I forget to click something?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to click email me. Look at that. Jeez.
It's been sent, okay.
Now we're going to have, I actually have a few questions again on how folks can actually get access if they don't have access. Do you want to speak to that process?
Sure. So if you haven't received access to the portal, if you send me an email, and my information is at the end of the slides, if you send me an email, I'd be more than happy to set you up. Please keep in mind, I was looking at the list of attendees and I noticed that some folks attending this training today are not actually in our, what I'll call our U.Plan database to receive rosters. So at minimum, you need to be entered as a contact in receiving rosters in order to be provisioned to onto our online portal.
There we go. Thank you, Claudia.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Okay, so we have our code here. 368056. Okay, that. So you won't have to do that every time you log in, only the first time you're setting up. And so here we go. I don't know what that means, but we seem to have access here. So this is the fake school here for Jonathan University. So when you log in, you'll be able to see your university information here. Can you all see this screen, by the way? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you.
And if I could just comment here.
Yes.
So here is where you would actually see all the individuals listed as contacts for your school. In this case, we only have one contact, Jonathan Hughes. So he's the only one there. So at minimum, he has to also be the recipient for payment. So you see that little dot checked off there, check recipient. So just wanted to comment there. So, but if there were other people associated with this school, they would also be listed there, and they wouldn't have the check mark next to check recipient. They would just be listed as, just their information, username, department, title, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good to mention. So yeah, this is where we're going to list our users here. You can see we have a few tabs over here: tuition and disbursement, roster, and then these are grayed out here. We're going to put if you did have EFT set up, a bank account information, but we thought that may sort of needlessly complicate things, and what with level of access questions and things like that, and notes as well. Same issue where college administrators could add notes, but again, it got to be a little more complicated than we were comfortable with, and had some questions that popped up. But so we're going to stick to these ones that are available, of course: users, tuition, disbursement, and roster. So we already went through the users, which shows you, as Claudia said, all the administrators that have access and then their role. Now, tuition and disbursement, this will show you sort of historically, as you can see here. I'm going to just do it so it's most recent up top. These are our historical tuition and fee figures here for Jonathan University, and they only go as far back as 2011, although of course all the colleges in the U-Plan will have it back to 1995 is when the program began. And you can see our tuition and fee figures throughout the year, our number of disbursements per academic year. So this particular college gets 2 disbursements per year, and then the default dates to when these disbursements occur. So 5/14/2021 is date disbursement number 1, and 11/19 is disbursement date number 2. Of course, this is for the purposes of the training, so we want to make sure that we had some actual disbursements. So the date disbursement was last week for this one. Now, these things here, the number of disbursements and the disbursement dates are up to the college. Of course, the colleges supply all this information, the tuition and fee figures, and the number of disbursement and disbursement dates. Do you have anything to add to this, Claudia?
No, just want to just reiterate what you said. Again, it's all dependent upon, the college and university. If you've requested to scheduled disbursements, we would set you up in our system. Most of the disbursements have, these default dates. The first one goes early August. This year, it's August 6th of this year. And the second one, which would, of course, correspond for the spring semester, that's going November 19th of this year as well. Some schools, have requested to go a little later on their scheduled disbursement dates, but again, we would look to for your direction as to what scheduled disbursement dates you'd like. And as you know, we always disperse throughout the year. We disperse weekly on Fridays, and your rosters, you receive them on Mondays along with your payment. So that's, something to keep in mind too, that we're not just held to as most of you know, we're not held to these 2 dates.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. And now for sort of the real meat of it here is the roster. So what you're able to do now which you weren't able to do before, is to go in and view your roster. So I'm going to go in as the administrator for Jonathan University and see a disbursement roster. So we can do this in a few different ways. We could search by student, or we could search by disbursement date. Now, since this is the test environment and all the data in the test environment is depersonalized, so nobody has any names associated with them, I can't really search by student, but you'll be able to do that in the real environment. So we'll go by disbursement date, and we know that our first disbursement date for the year was 5/14. So this is our default date for the first disbursement for this year. And so let's say we just want to check, what rosters, what came in this past week. And so we have a start date and end date here. And then on the disbursement status, we can show confirmed or pending disbursement. So since we're essentially looking in the past, and the confirmed disbursements are the ones that have already gone out, and the pending disbursements are the ones that are scheduled to go out. So let's click on confirmed disbursements, and we can see what we have, and we'll search. We can scroll down here, and here we go. So we see here a disbursement date, or payment amount, school contribution, and then the amount to credit the student's account. So pretty much the information that you would see on a disbursement roster. The payment amount is the amount that actually comes in from MEFA, the school contribution amount, and then the amount to credit the student's account. If we want to, we can expand on this, because this is the total distributions for the college for the week. But we can see there's actually 2 accounts here. So for 2 students, the first one has a payment amount of $8,513.62 from MEFA, and the school contribution is the amount to credit the student's account is $11,000, which is a full semester. This beneficiary over here has a lesser amount, and this is the amount to credit his account. So we add these numbers up, and this is our weekly disbursement. So you can view that. You can actually export it to Excel if you want to do that. And let's open it just so I think we actually can show you. You'll get this here, a report with student name, student address, academic year, payment amount, and the same information over here. So just to show you how, if you wanted to, we could search, since this is the student name, we can search for student name. See, and it'll just give us this one here. So you could do that through disbursement date, and you could do it through student summary and then student detailed. I believe the only difference between the student detailed is it gives you any refund information, I believe. But regardless, this is how you use that system. Now, if I wanted to take a look at pending disbursements, so let's say I wanted to take a look, and I know our second disbursement here is what, November? So I could say November 26th, show pending disbursements. And here we go. We see our pending disbursement for 11,000, and that's set to go out on November 19th. Let me see if we can get this here. So that is essentially how the disbursement, accessing the disbursement rosters work. Let me see if I can go back. Oop. Excuse me. Our current slide here. Oh, just gonna quickly scroll through these. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions about that portion, by the way? So that was sort of the entire idea here of showing you what is available. And so currently, I guess it's probably worth mentioning that currently, as Claudia said, we would email the rosters to you on the following Monday. But eventually, I think the idea is that we're going to stop doing that, and you'll get a notification that goes out on Monday for you to access your online account and go view the disbursements.
Yeah.
Does anybody?
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I just want to say, I just like to elaborate on the benefits of, having this information accessible. Instead of like having to wait for us to push out the rosters on like a weekly basis on a Monday, or say, in the summer, we send you a preliminary roster in midsummer, like June or July, just notifying you of the students that will be attending in the fall. You now have this information available to you at any time. You can access it. And again, too, I think it's great now. It's so much more flexible. If as Jonathan was saying, that you can, look up roster information or U.Plan information for a student, as opposed to, looking at a whole list. You can sort. The roster has it's really a nice tool. You can sort, when we were looking at the roster, you can, set it by, the date, you can view it as summary, you can do a detailed student. But it's really, really nice because you can look at a student. You can look at a student over maybe multiple academic years if you want to get a full picture of payments for an individual. So it's very, very, very useful, and just wanted to just let you know that it's out there. If you want to go in and play around with it, if you have any additional questions, and reach out to us, we can certainly answer those questions and help guide you to it. But it's a really, really nice tool, very flexible.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about the sort of historical way you can view distributions for a particular student, like how many they got per the past maturity year or the past academic years. Since we're sort of doing this in a test environment, we kind of wanted to keep it simple, but you're able to do quite a bit more than that. So I thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and so if you want to talk quickly, Claudia, too, about the EFT instructions here. So if you wanted to get set up on EFT, this is sort of the process. And yeah, I don't know if you wanted to say anything more about that.
Sure. And this is, again, another one of the benefits. We're now partnering with US Bank. We're able to, send the payments instead of a paper check. We can now send them to you by electronic payment. So if you're interested, by all means, you just, as it states here, just provide us your banking instructions on your letterhead. If you email it to me securely, we will, of course, review it and confirm your information and set you up. So many of you have taken advantage of that, and people seem that they're pleased with that process. So I invite more to come aboard. It makes them so much more efficient than waiting for the paper checks.
Yeah, and sort of reminds me of one other thing when we talk about when you're talking about the rosters, and that is, many times we've had customers, whether it's students or parents, on the phone trying to if they've missed a deadline, if they've missed something, they're faxing us a roster. They want us to call the school or fax the school something to let them know that the U.Plan money is coming, etc. All that sort of running around and trying to get the right person and all that connecting. It's not necessary now. You can just go on to the site and go and see check a pending distribution. So that's another benefit that I know I was really, really happy about when we developed this, that I wouldn't have to be, sending emails and faxes and trying to get the right person at the college to see if they'll drop a hold or if they do something, because we just got the U.Plan distribution in, and believe us, we have it. It's just coming. So that's certainly a big benefit of that as well. So That is really what we have today. So if there are any questions, we are, that's our information here, but we're here as long as you have questions. I know this is quick. I can stop sharing screens. Are there any questions? Does anybody think that this would be a benefit to them if they're not signed up yet? I don't know, I think. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay. I mean, if there's no questions, if everyone's okay, will the PowerPoint be sent to the attendees? Sure. Yes, we can send it. We'll send you the recording as well, so you'll have it to go through. And so feel free to share that too, so that other folks in your offices can take advantage of that if they need to. Thank you. Yeah, no, we appreciate everything, and we appreciate any feedback that you have. And thank you very much. Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And look forward to continue working with you guys.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.